book that I am going to read is called Virgie Goes to School with Us Boys by Elizabeth Fitzgerald Howard. Virgie was always begging to go to school with us boys. All summer long she kept asking and asking. School's too far, Nelson said. School's too long, Will said. School's too hard, George said. And you're too little, Val said. I'm big enough. Tell them, Cece, Virgie said to me. Virgie, Val kept right on, you're scarcely big as a field mice. And school's 7 miles from here. That's one long, long walk. And besides, Nelson added, we have to live there all week long. You couldn't do that. You'd be crying for Mama and all. Nelson, you know I won't be crying for Mama. Virgie stamped her foot. Well, anyways, Nelson continued, there's hardly any girls that go. Girls don't need school. That's not so, Nelson, I said. Girls need to read and write and do arithmetic just like us boys. Now, didn't I tell you about our school? For 2 years, us boys, that's George and Will and Nelson and Val and me, Cece, been schooling in a place started by folks who love the Lord. Quakers, they call themselves. They opened a school for black people after Mr. Lincoln declared us free like we ought to be. And I was beginning to wonder, what about Virgie? She was free too. Couldn't she go to school with us boys? Summertime going by. 1 week gone, then another, and Virgie asking and asking. Virgie picked pole beans or weighing grain for Papa. Virgie sewing quilt squares or stirring soup for Mama. Virgie always asking, Papa, Mama, can I go to school? Can I go to school? Virgie, you'd be tuckered all out just getting there, Will said. Rawhead and Bloody Bones might grab you in those woods on the way, Nelson said. Eat up a little, old girl. But Virgie never blinked an eye. She kept on asking, till one day in the fields Papa said, Boys, Virgie, me, and your mama been thinking. All free folks need learning. Old folks and folks, small girls too. Virgie, next time you can go. You can go to school with us boys. Summertime's over. Harvest in. School time here. Sunday night, everything ready. Clean pair of underwear drawers for each of us. Extra shirt too. And food for the whole week long. Everything's ready, but Nelson was frowning. Virgie was too little, he said. Monday morning early, Mama cooked us big bowls of oatmeal. She cooked eggs too. Papa led our prayers. Safe journey, clear minds, and thanks to the good Lord for our own school. Take care of Virgie, Papa said after prayer time. Take care of each other. Giving orders, George took the lead. Not too fast. Stay in line. We passed by our barn and Papa's mill, then cut through Mr. McKinney's field. Virgie kept on up now. Virgie, keep up now, Val said. Passed on Mr. Smith's farm, round Dickens Pond. Whoa, Virgie, careful there, Will said. That's poison ivy. Up one hill and down another, up and down to the creek. We took off our shoes, rolling up our pants legs, and stepped real careful on the upping stones. The cold water woke up our hot, tired feet. Virgie held her skirt with one hand, her shoes and bucket with the other. Then, all of a sudden, she was sliding and slipping. Watch out, Virgie, I yelled, trying to grab a hold of her, but splash! In the creek she went. Now she'll cry, Nelson grumbled, but she didn't. Virgie was laughing. It's a warm day, she said. My skirt will dry. Virgie's all right, I thought. Let's go, said George. Hurry up, said Will. It's looking like rain. Just when they were coming to the woods, it's thick and leafy in there. Not even when it's thick and leafy in there, dark even when the sun's bright, and it's too quiet. And that's not the worst part. Rawhead and blood bones. Didn't I tell you about Rawhead and bloody bones? Get you if you're not good, folks said. Get you anyways. Don't be scared, Virgie, I told her. I'm not scared, she said, but she held my hand tight. Nobody talked. We just walked, silently crept for twigs crackling. Trees leaned over us. Shadows got darker. A branch snatched a hold of my shirt, and my heart quit beating. Then Virgie whispered, "Let's sing." Just like a girl, Nelson said, but pretty soon he was singing too. Go Down Moses and Old Freedom and Eyes Have Got the Glory, and all the songs we could think of. The walk up pasture seemed not so dark. Soon we were out of the woods and away from Rawhead and bloody bones. Across one field and then another, almost there, Virgie, almost to town. We passed the inn and the courthouse and the churches and all the shops. We followed Main Street onto the top of the hill. Do you see it, Virgie? Do you see it? We were almost shouting. Big red brick, long high windows, and a wide open door. Our very own school. Mr. Warner, headmaster, came out to greet us. Welcome, boys. George, William, Valentine, Nelson, Cornelius. That's me, Cece. Glad to see you back. And who is this fine young lady here? Your sister? Yes, sir. This is Virgie, George said. Virgie, speak up to Mr. Warner. Good morning, sir, Virgie said. Virgie's pretty smart for a girl, Mr. Warner, Nelson said. Nelson said that. Come look, Virgie, I said, pulling her inside with me. Come see all the desks. See the books? Virgie was staring at everything, especially the bookcase. So many books, she said. She touched one softly with her hand. Someday I'll read all these books. All right, Virgie. Already Virgie was seeming bigger. Then we'll go home on Friday, Cece, she said, and we'll tell Mama and Papa all we've learned. That way, they seem like they've been to school too, learning to be free, just like us. I chose this book because I thought it was a really good story to remind children that that they are lucky to be able to go to school because it hasn't always been that way. This book is set right after the Civil War, when the Freedmen's Bureau was creating schools to transition blacks to freedom. And the school that it talks about in here is it's supposed to be a school in Jonesboro, Tennessee. And the story is supposed to be based on the author's grandparents' family. And so a lot of details about the real family aren't available. But it said two of the boys became lawyers. One went to medical school. One sold insurance, and the other became an undertaker. And then the details on Virgie, the girl in the story, are really sketchy. But it says that she married a principal and she probably died in her early 30s. I liked this book, especially the illustrations, because they seem so real to life. And this was my favorite picture in the book because it shows Virgie and she just looks so happy and confident. the dialogue in this book was a real asset to the book because it showed you what the boys were thinking about Virgie going to school and how she had to convince even her parents and her brothers that she should go to school, and even until they started on the journey, especially Nelson didn't believe that she was big enough.